After missing the last train because he has worked late at night, Ryota decides to take a nap. He wakes up later to a very loud noise which he assumes is the noise of a video game. He doesn't want to stand up because he is enjoying his sleep, but unfortunately for him, he really has to stand. A little girl stands in front of him. She looks at him weirdly, wondering if he is really human. He doesn't understand what is happening then, and to be candid, he isn't even trying to understand it. He is more interested in the nap he is getting, but seeing him there keeps making the girl wonder what he is and who he is. She has just killed a slime, and the slime dropped him as her reward. That is the first time she is getting such a weird reward. And considering their lifestyle in that world, she assumes that there is no way the slime would have dropped a human for her, and it would most likely be a huge piece of meat. She decides that the only way she can settle her doubts is to cut Ryota and find out what he is. It is at that point that Ryota realizes that if he keeps pretending to be asleep, he will come to a piece of meat to this young lady. He opens his eyes and asks her what she is doing. She screams and shifts from him, asking him what he is. That environment looks like a video game to him. But the last he can remember, it isn't the case that he is playing a game before sleeping off, so he wonders what is happening. He asks the girl how he has gotten there, and she tells him that he has been dropped by slime. He asks her what she means by that, and she assumes he must be kidding if he insists that he doesn't understand how that world works. But she later realizes that he isn't joking and doesn't understand. She tells him they are in Tululu LV1, and in Tululu, they get rewards by killing slimes. She says that in level 1, the slimes drop beans spout, and that was what she was expecting after killing the slime. But she suddenly saw that the slime had dropped Ryota. He asks her if it is only bean spout that slimes drop, but she tells him that it's not just bean spout and everything in that world is being dropped by slimes, and there is no other means of making anything except by killing slimes. What she has no idea of is whether or not it is possible that the slime could have dropped a human being. Since he still doesn't understand her, she shows him what she is talking about. Suddenly, a slime appears before her, and at first, she goes to attack the slime, but the slime hits her about twice, and she loses several HP. Ryota feels concerned for her, but she tells him he doesn't have to worry and she is fine. She eventually succeeds in hitting the slime with the hammer on her hand. The slime falls and disappears, then bean spouts appear but of very small quality. Ryota eventually understands how it works. He asks her if she is sure they aren't in Japan, but she asks him what Japan is. He needs to be sure that he is at least still alive, so he asks her if they are on Earth. But she also doesn't know what he means by Earth. She keeps walking along the same corridor, and he gets bored of it. He asks her if she can't proceed to another stage, and she informs him that she is in Tululu level 1 and she doesn't have the skills nor power to go to level 2 because her drop level and normal stats are too low. He wondered how she found out that her drop level and the normal level were too low, and asked her how she got to know. She takes him to a board around there and tells her that the only way to know is to use the stat board. She puts her hand on the stat board, and the board brings out all the stats. Her strength is in level C, and her HP is in level D except for that too. Every other thing on the board is in levels E and F. The board seems familiar to Ryota. He recognizes it as the same board used in video games, and when he looks at it better, he sees another page on the board. He asks her about it, and she takes him to page 2. Page 2 consists of her drop stat. The drop stat determines the power of drops she has, and all her stats are in level E, which means that she can't get proceeds that are higher than normal. She complains that she can't proceed to level 2, and that is why she also has to make a living in a very low way because she can't sell her drops. She asks him if he also wants to check his stats. Since he is in that world already, it wouldn't hurt him to behave like they do, so he decides to check his stats too. She teaches him that he is to put his hand in a circular place, and when he does so, the board brings out his stats. The board shows that all his stats are in class F. He doesn't have any strength, neither does he have HP. She changes it to page 2, and when she does so, she sees that all his stats are in class S. She counts her alphabet from A to S, assuming that S is the lowest a person can get, so she tells him he is also low over there. He asks her if she is sure in the video games he plays normally, level S is always greater than level A. She insists that it is the highest she has seen, so he asks if he could at least kill a slime, and he can see what the slime will drop. He looks around, and she sees he is looking for a weapon. She offers him her own weapon, and he attempts to take it with thanks. However, immediately he touches the weapon. The weapon is too big for him, it weighs him down, and he can't move. He wonders what could be the weight of the weapon, and when she also realizes that he isn't strong enough to carry that, she looks around to find him something lighter, and she gives him a bamboo stick. After he collects the stick, he waits for slime to come out. When a slime comes out, she calls his attention to him, and he turns to fight the slime. At first, he finds it difficult, but he eventually succeeds in stabbing the slime. When the slime disappears, the slime drops a huge bean sprouts for him. The young lady is very shocked, and he is also wowed. He tells her it seems level S is the highest and asks her if she has ever seen someone with level S before. She says no. He also asks if she has seen a slime drop that very spouts before, and she replies in negation, too, so that seals his conviction that he is indeed special and has a unique skill in that new world. His stomach makes sounds of hunger. She hears the sounds, too, and tells him they should eat. Inside that same building, she sets up her fire and she cooks the bean sprouts that she has gotten. She serves him the food, and he enjoys it. He comments that bean sprouts with chili will go with beer, and she wonders if he is correct. He asks if she has never drunk beer before. She explains to him that in that world, your standard of living depends on how many drops you get. Her drops are low, so she can't afford beers. She serves him a liquid, and when he drinks it, he sees it is very warm. He is so glad that he starts crying. She assumes that she has done something wrong to him, and when she asks, he explains that it's been a while since he has ever had anything warm with another person. He works too much on Earth, and he even works extra time. As a result, he gets home late and buys snacks for supper. He worked himself so hard that he even fell sick. Due to the time he spent at the hospital, he had to work more. And that day, he missed the last train because of how late he worked, and he decided to take a nap. It was in the process of doing that he found himself in that world. He concludes that it turns out all his efforts are without rewards. She goes to hug him. She tells him a popular comment that there is no way a person can work without rewards, and that waiting longer for his rewards means his rewards will be huge. Even if he dies without getting rewards, he will reincarnate into a life of enjoyment to enjoy his former works. Her words encourage him. He asks where they are going to sleep, and she says there are lodges in the town. She tells him that she can't afford an apartment, so she sleeps in that same place, but she hopes that one day she can afford an apartment. He attempts to leave, but she gives him the bamboo stick, telling him that he can't survive in that world without a weapon. He promises to repay her for all she has done for him and asks for her name. She tells him she is Emily Brown and says she is always at that level, and when he wants to meet her, he can check for her there. He tells her his make is Sato Ryota, but she finds it difficult to pronounce his name and calls him Yoda. He goes to the city and he tries to understand how it works. In that world, they send pylos. The bean sprouts he has gotten are 200 pylos. To rent a room is 2,000 pylos per night, and even the minor things are expensive. After getting the prices, he returns to Tululu. At first, he felt he might have a hard time because of his level, but his S-class drops makes it easy for him to sell his drops at a high rate. After working for 3 days, he eventually rents an apartment. He invites Emily there and shows her the house. He tells her the price, and she is so excited that he can afford that much in 3 days. He gives her the key, and she wonders what it is for. He tells her he is giving her the house to appreciate her for the stew she gave him. She can't believe her ears because it seems like too much. She tries to reject it, but he refuses. He attempts to leave, but she says she will make him stew. He requests for a cup of stew, but she says she will make him stew forever. He realizes she is inviting him to live with him, and he accepts the offer. He goes out that day to Tululu. When he returns, he goes to sell his proceeds, and the lady there tells him that Tululu level 2 drops carrots, and there is even a new dungeon named Nihonium, which the Neptune group is trying to investigate its drop. She asks him out for a beer, but he refuses and returns home. At home, Emily treats him so well. She has renovated the house, and she serves him food. She tells him that the Neptune group discovered that the Nihonium dungeon drops nothing. Regardless of that, he goes there the following day to check. He is confronted by a skeleton, but he finds it difficult to kill it. Luckily, a wall falls on it, and it dies. The skeleton drops a seed, and when he holds it, he hears a voice that tells him that his HP has increased by 1. He continues, and he keeps increasing in HP. He goes home to tell Emily, and she also sees that his HP is increasing. She joins him at the dungeon, but when she kills a skeleton, nothing drops, and when she tries to touch his seed, her hands slip through it. After giving it several thoughts, he realizes that the dungeon is only for the S-class level, and only they can touch it. After working at that dungeon for a while, he decides to go to Tululu level 2. He is confronted by a slime who hits him so well, but because of his HP level, he doesn't feel any pain. He eventually kills the slime, and the slime drops a very big carrot. He also meets some level 2 workers who mock him for his low level, and he finds a lady with rabbit ears behind him. The lady hits his head that she hates low levels, and she leaves. He returns home that night and shows Emily what he has gotten. He tells her he sold them for 8,000 pylos that day, and she is glad he is earning well. She takes the remaining carrots to cook, and they hear a knock. Ryota goes to check, and the visitor turns out to be the same lady with rabbit ears he met in the dungeon. She hits his head again, telling him she hates low level. He wonders if that is why she has visited him, and she tells him that she loves him. Emily hears this by the door, too, and Ryota is so confused. That night after he takes the vast carrots he got from the level 2 Talulu dungeon home, Emily is also excited to prepare the carrot noodles so they can eat. As she sets to do that, they hear a knock on their door, and the fact that no one in that new world knows him enough to knock on his door makes him go to open the door immediately. Upon opening the door, the visitor turns out to be the bunny-eared lady he met in the Talulu dungeon not quite long. He wonders why she has come to visit him at home, and he doesn't know what to say. He eventually asks her why she had visited him, and she hits him and tells him that she hates low level. He asks her if that is enough reason to visit his house late at night, but she doesn't reply and tells him she loves him. She looks very funny with her face turning red, hitting him on his face again. At this point, he doesn't know what he could have done wrong to her. Emily comes out and asks him what the issue is between him and the weird bunny girl, and he tells her he doesn't know, and that is what he has been trying to ask her. The bunny lady also leaves, and she goes to drag another man to her side. She hits the man on his head like she has been hitting Ryota, but he starts bleeding immediately and falls. Some men come to drag the man away, and she tells Ryota that is what happens to any low-level person that she hits. But she has been doing the same thing to Ryota since she saw him in the dungeon, but her hits aren't affecting him. Ryota assumes that the reason it is that way is because of his high HP level. He is appreciative of that because, looking at the way she had been hitting him, he could have died. He tells her that since she has found it difficult to injure him, why is she visiting him? She eventually reveals that it is because of carrots. She says that she saw one of his carrots on the floor in the dungeon when he was struggling to carry all the carrots away. She sneaked to take the carrot that fell, and although he noticed something had fallen from him, he couldn't figure out what had dropped since she was so fast, and she hid behind the corridor. She brings out the carrot and tells him that she wants more carrot. She sees that Emily is holding some carrots in her hand, and when she peeps into their house, she sees several carrots on the table. She starts drooling and begging them for carrots. She almost enters the house, and Emily eventually invites her in. Emily asks her if she would like to eat carrot noodles with them, and she is more than excited to do so. Emily begins preparing the noodles. She peels the carrot, slices it into a straight noodle shape, and boils it with seasonings. Later, she cooks the peels of the carrot with some bean sprouts to make the stew, and when the food gets ready, she serves them after telling them the name of what she has prepared. They are all excited to eat, especially the bunny girl. As she is about to eat, Ryota asks her if the bunny on her head is real, but she is too busy with her food even to give him a response. So she doesn't answer him. As she takes the first bite, she screams. The food is so sweet that she tells Emily she is a god. Ryota acknowledges what she has said and says that Emily's cooking skill is on a good level, and he doubts he has ever eaten meals that are as nice as her meals. He takes a bite of the carrot noodles, and he is also very happy. Immediately the bunny lady finishes the food, thanks Emily, and says that she will come back to eat again even before Emily tells her she is invited to come back. After she leaves, Ryota says that she is very weird and she just came inside their house to eat food without even introducing herself by her name or anything. Emily isn't bothered by that. Instead, she is glad she can eat with two people. She appreciates Ryota for coming into her life, and Ryota wonders why she is so appreciative. She tells Ryota that before he came there, she used to eat her food alone at Talulu level 1 with no one as her friend, but now she can eat with two different people. Thinking about Emily's former life, Ryota realizes that was the same way he was living. When he was in Japan, he would work every day, and the only thing he could eat at night was packaged food, and he used to eat it alone. He tells Emily that she doesn't have to appreciate him that much, and she also tells him that she will love that they eat together every day, and he agrees to do that with her. The following day, he returns to Nihonium, but this time, he goes to level 2 of Nihonium. His life in that world is so cool and calm. He has everything he needs to live a fulfilled life and to continue that lifestyle. He really wants to get stronger, which is why he is at Nihonium level 2, so he can see what the skeletons there drop. He is confronted by a skeleton, and when he starts to fight, he hits the skeleton with his bamboo stick, but the stick breaks. He realizes he doesn't have any other weapon, and he can't retreat at that moment, so he sets out to fight immediately. The skeleton hits him on his face, but because of his high HP level, he doesn't get injured, so he also hits the skeleton. He punches the skeleton until it does, and the skeleton drops his drop. He sees the seed, although he doesn't know what it could add. The drops in level 1 increased his HP, and he doesn't know what the drops in level 2 will increase. He goes to pick it up, and immediately it disappears. He hears a voice that his strength has increased with 1 point. He finds out the drops there increase his strength, and he is so excited. To his shock, he notices there is someone at the top of the level, and it is the bunny girl. She comes down to meet him and asks him what is the seed that the skeleton has dropped. He doesn't know what kind of reply he should give her because everyone in that city thinks that dungeon doesn't drop anything. And if he tells her what it drops and she finds it difficult to use it, it may cause trouble in his new city. He thinks of the kind of reply he should give her, and as he is about to talk, she speaks again. She asks him for carrots, and he wonders if everything will go once he gives her the carrots. She says that if he doesn't give her a carrot, he will die because it is either carrots or his life. He doesn't know that the issue of carrots is that important to her, so he tells her that she should wait for him at the Swallow Gratitude so he can go to Tululu and bring her carrots. She excitedly leaves him there. He wonders if her life is filled with carrots and nothing more important. Just as he has promised her, he goes to Tululu to get her carrots. Since his strength has increased from level F to D, he finds it very easy from him to kill the slimes and get carrots from them. So he takes the carrots to where they sell their drops, and that is the exact place he has also told the bunny lady to wait for him. He enters with several carrots in his hand, and he walks to meet her. As he walks nearer to her, everyone around wonders what he is doing. They ask themselves who is the daring man who has the audacity to approach the killing rabbit by himself. Her nickname is the Killing Rabbit, and everyone in that city avoids her. They watch him as he goes to give her a carrot, and she eats it happily without any issue with Ryota. The attendant in the store, Urza, walks to meet Ryota wanting to know what is happening. She asks Ryota if the Killing Rabbit is his friend, but he says he can't call her a friend. He gave her carrots the day before, and she liked it, so she had been asking for him. She explains to him that the bunny lady is Eve Callisleader. She is a violent adventurer with pure love for carrots, so when she meets other adventurers, she welcomes them with the phrase dead or carrots. If you give her a lousy carrot, she will kill you. Ezra tells Ryota that she wants to buy all the carrots with him at a double price. She says that if the villagers get to know that there is a kind of carrot that Eve likes, they will spend anything to buy it because they know that with the carrot, she won't kill them. He decides to sell to Ezra, who agrees to buy one for 15,000 pylos. He sells 30 carrots that day, which is about 450,000 pylos, and knows that if he continues that way for a week, he will be earning so much. He feels the only reason he could sell that profitably is because of Eve, and he decides to appreciate her. He turns to appreciate her, but she tells him she will take carrots over his appreciation. He tells her he doesn't have any carrots again that day, and he has closed for the day. She refuses to hear him, and she gets angry. She attempts to hit him, but he holds her hand and stops her. The others look at him, wondering where he has gotten his audacity from. He tells Eve that his name is Ryota and not low level, and he has closed for the day. And he isn't going to return to the dungeon because of her, because he has promised Emily that he will return home at a certain time so they can eat together. She tells him the phrase dead or carrot, and he asks her the same thing and tells her she can't get anything till the following day. She reluctantly leaves, hoping to get enough carrots the following day. He goes to the Tululu dungeon with Emily the following day, and they get enough drops. He goes to check another corner of the dungeon, and he sees two struggling teens trying to kill a slime. They find it difficult, and a man comes who they call Captain to help them kill it. After the captain kills it, he says they should continue looking for slimes, but they beg him that they are tired and needs to rest. He refuses to allow them to rest, telling them everything he does is for their good. Ryota watches that and remembers how his boss used to say the same thing and exhaust them till they could no longer move, and realizes there are people like that in that world too. Emily calls him to eat. She prepares food for him and Eve, and as they eat, the captain passes with the teens. He tells them that he doesn't want them to be like Ryota and his friends, who are wasting time in the dungeon, and says he is sure their drops can't be quality, but Eve jumps to him and gives the teens carrots. She says that Ryota's carrots are the best in the city, and he is not lazy. She returns to Ryota, who appreciates her for supporting the teens. He goes with Emily to sell their drops and tells Ezra that he can't carry all his drops, so she suggests he gets a magic cart. He goes to buy magic carts and meets Olga standing for her father at the shop. Her father arrives and says he will give them a cart worth 10 million pylos, and it's a cart that can detect monsters, and the normal carts are for 3 million. They don't have enough, so they leave and plan to save money to get it later. As they go, they hear people shouting that a stray is out in the two. Emily tells him strays appear around when drops are where there aren't humans, and they are dangerous, and they don't drop anything. He attempts to run, too, but sees that the stray is about to kill Ezra. He holds the stray's hand while Eva and some other strong adventurers come to fight it. Ezra complains that the stray may destroy their city, so he runs to join them in fighting the stray. He succeeds in killing it, and everyone is happy. He is glad he can make people happy in that world because he hasn't succeeded in doing that in his past world. He hears a loud drop and asks Emily again to confirm if strays drop something. Emily says no, but he feels because he is the killer, he could have dropped just the same way Nihonium drops for only him, so he goes there with Emily to check. When they get there, they are shocked by what they see. After saving Urza from the gorilla, Ryota then kills the gorilla like One Punch Man, finishing it with one deadly blow. He gets tired after using so much power and energy and feels glad that the calamitous event is over now. Emily and Eve commend Ryota's strength while the villagers cheer and clap for him. The villagers thank Ryota for helping them and even begin calling him the town hero. But Ryota is more interested in looking for the gorilla's loot drop and finds a belt and a pistol on the ground, along with some scattered ammo on the ground where the gorilla got killed. Ryota picks up the gun, wondering why he got a weapon as a loot drop that shouldn't even exist in this medieval world. Furthermore, this otherworldly weapon came from a monster that's not supposed to drop anything. As he doesn't have any answer, he moves on and wonders if he has leveled up after beating such a giant monster. So, he goes to the stats board and sees that most of his skills are still at F rank, and he is still at level 1. But thanks to the seeds he found as loot at Nihonium, his HP stat jumped to S rank, and his strength got boosted to C rank. Ryota desires to have more of his abilities at S rank, so he again goes to Nihonium level 2, hoping that he will find similar overpowered drops there. This time, Ryota doesn't use his bamboo stick as a weapon and instead chooses the gun he got from the gorilla. He wants to see if the gun will be any use at all, and thankfully, a zombie approaches him just in time to become his experiment tool. Ryota immediately fires his gun at the zombie, and with 2 shots, he manages to kill it. The zombie drops a seed on the ground, but Ryota doesn't have time to pick it up as more zombies come in his way. So he starts shooting one after another and kills each of them with one blow. Ryota's gun runs out of ammo, so he refills it again and wonders how he will find more bullets once these ones run out. He assumes that the bullets may drop again if he kills more stray dogs, so he decides to use them sparingly until he knows. After gathering the seeds, Ryota goes to the Tululu Labyrinth and helps Emily kill a slime using his overpowered gun, which he clearly should not be wasting on slimes. After piling up some loot, both of them take a break, and Emily tells him that she has never seen such a graceful weapon before. Ryota reveals that his strength has been upgraded to rank B thanks to his gun. He wants to check out the next level later and thinks that he will be able to go to many unexplored places as his stats increase. He feels glad that he came to this world, as he can now travel everywhere and admire the beauty of it. Ryota notices the giant carrot beside him, and that reminds him of the bunny girl, Eve. He wonders why she has not come here yet to get her carrot and assumes that she might have other stuff to do. So, Emily decides to save these carrots for Eve, just in case she shows up at their front door again. Ryota moves his focus to the delightful meal prepared by Emily and tells her that she makes the best lunches in the world. He starts gobbling up everything and feels too relaxed to do any work. After lunch, Ryota and Emily head to the new floor of Tululu, which is downstairs, and he asks her if she has ever been here before. Emily explains that she has never had the opportunity to be here since she is a low-rank fighter, and only claims to know the names of the monsters on this floor and what loot they usually drop. She tells him that the monsters here are cockroaches, a disgusting mixed breed, and they drop pumpkins, another vegetable. Ryota looks forward to having a meal with pumpkins and immediately heads forward, looking for the cockroaches. He sees little cockroaches on the walls of the labyrinth and feels disgusted even at the thought of touching them. Emily gets disgusted too and starts beating the cockroaches with her hammer before more of them come near her. She expresses that she cannot allow any single one of these monsters to escape and goes into berserk mode, killing the cockroaches as if she is playing whack-a-mole after exterminating all of them. Emily takes a long breath and collects the pumpkins she got as loot. After seeing Emily's horrifying side, Ryota no longer wants to stay on this floor and tells Emily that they should just head back and get more carrots. Ryota hopes that he will never have to see the scary version of Emily again. But as they start heading back, hundreds of cockroaches begin coming out of the hole inside a wall. So, Emily gets into berserk mode once again and tells Ryuta that she might never regain her humanity if things keep going on like this. Of course, Ryuta doesn't want his personal cook to turn into a crazy person, so he tells her that he will take responsibility and begins shooting the cockroaches with his gun. Thanks to his great focus and contribution, he single-handedly kills the cockroaches and calms Emily. Because Ryuta gets S-ranked loot from mobs, they got large pumpkins as the loot drop this time. Emily gets happy and excited. However, they won't be able to take all of these massive boulder-like pumpkins upstairs. However, they can't afford to stay on this floor either, as the cockroaches might spawn again. That's when the bunny girl, Eve, comes to their rescue and tells them that she is here to collect today's carrots. Emily gives her the carrots she saved up earlier, and Eve happily takes all of them. Later in the village, Emily notices that all of their carrots that they stored outside the town center got mysteriously eaten up. She realizes who might be behind it and smashes her hammer on the pumpkin to reveal that it's the cockroaches again. Ryuta wonders how these cockroaches got outside the dungeon and starts killing them again before Emily gets crazy. But his gun's ammo runs out completely, so he has no other option left but to witness Emily's wrath. But Ryuta doesn't want that, so he uses his bare hands to trample all of the remaining cockroaches, and after hours, he manages to kill them all. Emily apologizes to Ryuta for making him work so hard and explains that she just turns into someone else when she even thinks of cockroaches. But Ryuta doesn't blame her and only feels glad that she is still as sane as before. The cockroaches he killed turn into loot drupes, and since this is the outside world, they turn into gun ammo instead of vegetables. Later, Urza explains to both of them why there were cockroaches outside of the dungeon. According to the rules of this world, if someone leaves dropped items behind where there are no people around, monsters spawn around them. Thanks to this information, Ryuta comes up with an idea to increase his gun ammo by forcing more monsters to spawn in the outside world. Urza tries to ask Ryuta out on a date, but he gets too invested in getting the loot, so he ditches her and immediately heads out to make an XP bullet farm. He drops a single carrot on the ground and waits in the distance for the monsters to appear. The strategy doesn't work as the bunny girl, Eve, takes the bait instead of the monster and eats it. So Ryuta asks her to go away and drops another carrot on the ground. This time, the carrot turns into slime, and Ryuta immediately kills it, dropping a lot of ammo on the ground. He feels glad that it worked and wonders why no one else gets loot like him outside the dungeons. Ryuta then comes up with another idea to plant the seeds that he got from defeating the zombies in Nihonium. He goes to the first floor of Nihonium and gathers a seed by killing a monster. But every time he tries to pick up the seeds, they disappear and turn into experience points. So, Ryuta gets disappointed and decides to just head back to Tululu to grind some vegetables with Emily for the rest of the day. But as he reaches the exit of Nihonum, a skeleton monster attacks him, and Ryuta conveniently kicks it, pushing it to the outside world. But instead of turning into a stray, the skeleton vanishes, which makes Ryuta wonder why that happened. So, he goes to Urza and asks her about that, and she explains that monsters disappear if they leave a dungeon. Otherwise, there would be strays all over the place. Urza mentions that even within a dungeon, monsters will disappear if they enter a different floor. That's why there's only one type of monster on each floor. Urza feels surprised that her crush doesn't have any clue about the rules of the world, and she finds it quite charming. So, she tries to ask Ryuta out on a date again, but he ditches her once again, not listening to what she was about to say. Ryuta then returns to the Nihonium labyrinth and stands at the entrance door of the first floor. He comes up with an idea to kill the monsters of this floor right before they disappear into the outside world and executes it perfectly. His plan succeeds, and the system tells him that he has acquired a special loot drop called a freezing bullet. Ryuta doesn't wait to try out this new bullet and shoots at the tree for magic, which freezes the tree instantly. So, Ryuta decides to grind more freezing bullets and afterwards heads to Tululu to flex on Emily with his new weapon. He freezes a slime with the gun, and Emily smashes it with her hammer, making it a perfect combo attack. Emily asks what kind of sorcery this is, and Ryuta explains that it's just another random loot drop he received. Emily assumes that the freezing bullets might be quite valuable, to which Ryuta agrees and decides to stick with the regular bullets for now unless there's an emergency. A heavy rain starts pouring at the village, and after that downpour, Ryuta and Emily start heading back to their village with their gathered vegetables. On their way, they run into a merchant who is in the middle of arguing with a blue-haired person. Since they are blocking the path, Ryuta asks them to move aside so that they can go. But the merchant doesn't let Ryuta go and tells him to help him get his cargo back that the blue-haired woman dropped off the cliff. Emily sees that the cargo is actually way below the cliff, so she thinks it would be a waste of their time staying here. Still, Ryuta wishes to help the merchant, but the woman stops him as the cargo is loaded with dungeon loot, which might turn into some troublesome monsters. So, she decides to just burn everything using her fire magic. But the merchant doesn't want that and even tries to push the woman off the edge to save his money. He tells the woman that the perfume inside the cargo will sell for a fortune, and reveals that to collect it, he hired dozens of adventurers. But the woman doesn't care, and she reveals that it was actually the merchant who dropped the cargo to begin with. They get into an argument again, so the merchant fires her from her job and even tries to attack her. Although the woman dodges the attack, it is so strong that it dents the mountain walls. Ryuta wonders how an old man can be so strong, and the woman reveals that this old man is actually a monster called a femini. According to her, a fetus doesn't have its own body, so it possesses a human and uses it as a nursery to propagate itself. As the femini takes off her mask and reveals its true terrifying form, all of them get scared. Except for Ryuta, who thinks this is a great opportunity to test his gun on an actual threatening monster. So he brings out his gun from the holster and shoots him with it. The femini dies and drops regular ammo, which disappoints Ryuta as he thought he would get some special loot. The woman doesn't think it's over and tells both Ryuta and Emily to run away. She plans to jump off the edge to stop the female from popping out in all directions. She tells Ryuta that if she goes down there and becomes a nurse, she can buy time while Ryuta and Emily can gather an army in the village. The woman doesn't hesitate to sacrifice her life, as she was the one who was hired to be the escort on this mission. So, she thinks that it's her responsibility for this accident. Ryuta remembers how his colleague was also blamed by others in his previous life, even though he did his best to do his job properly. He only apologized and apologized, but his boss made him work to his death. But Ryuta didn't help his colleague as he was too selfish then. But now he wants to become different and decides to help the blue-haired woman. Ryuta immediately fills his gun with freezing bullets and gets excited to fight more monsters, as it is the only reason why he got Isekai'd in this world. As the cargo begins to turn into monsters, Ryuta immediately starts shooting them and completely freezes the surrounding area, including the cargo. Thanks to that, Emily jumps off the edge courageously and smashes the frozen ice with her hammer, shattering everything into pieces. As it's all over now, the blue-haired woman thanks Ryuta for all his help. After that, Emily and Ryuta return to the village, and Emily checks her level on the status board to find out that she has leveled up to 20 and that her strength is now at a rank. Ryuta assumes that Emily only got such a huge boost, as she probably killed dozens of feminists when she shattered the frozen cargo. Emily thanks Ryuta for that, as she thinks all of it is thanks to him. But Ryuta is more thankful to her for having her as his friend. That's it for this one. Did you enjoy this recap? If you did, kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you the recap of the next episodes of this weird anime series. Until next time, stay safe and take care.